Alrighty guys, today we have an Ausom L2 Max dual motor, and we're going to try to tap these underglow LEDs, which are just USB powered, into the deck lights. So that way when you turn it off with the dial up here, you'll notice the deck lights turn off, but the underglow is still on. So we're going to try to rip this thing open, and we're going to add in a 12 volt to 5 volt USB thingy here from Amazon, and we'll go from there. So we're going to start by taking off these hex bolts here. They're going to be all aligned throughout the scooter. I think there's like 12 of them, so just start by getting those out. They're going to be a little tight, so make sure you got a pretty good tool. This is a real cheap tool. It's a cheap metal, and these things are in here tight. I actually stripped one, and I had to like get a hammer and a different type of tool to actually get it to come out. So just make sure you guys got a good tool to take these out for you. So when you guys do get all the screws out, if it's your first time taking apart this scooter and the deck plate, it does have a rubber seal on the bottom. You can see it right here. I've taken mine apart quite a few times now, so it's going to come off a lot easier for me. But I remember my first time I had to take like a screwdriver and just kind of slowly go all the way down piece by piece, prying this up, because it does have like a glue on it all the way around the board. But you do want to start from the front, and then you could pull forward and get it to come up. And then be careful, because inside of it is all your controllers and the connections for the LEDs for the deck plate, which is actually what we're tapping into today. Once we're inside, we're basically just going to follow the wires. They're both tapped into the same thing. You'll see it, one is to the left, one's to the right. But they both actually meet up in the middle here and just connect together to one red and one black. So you can see I've actually already modified this once before. So we're practically just going to create a little split in here where it's like one red and one black, and we're going to tap directly into the 12 volts that this scooter does for the LEDs here, and that's where we're going to attach our new module to step down to 5 volts for the LEDs that are underneath. Once you get them disconnected, you're pretty much just going to have to cut them and splice them, but you can obviously see it's just one red and one black, and that runs down to the scooter. And now we just have our deck plate, which is just twisted together for the red and the blacks. And now you can even take your whole deck plate off, and this is how I even put on my my custom grip here to look, cut out and whatnot. So you can take the whole thing off and put it back on pretty much with ease. It's just a matter of connecting those two and putting some electrical tape or some heat shrink over it like I did. But let's go ahead and get started with that step down converter. And we need to try to find a spot to fit it in here, which, as you can see, it is extremely packed, so we're going to probably have some difficulty with that, but let's figure it out. Okay, I just got done undoing my wire loom. You can see this is how I was connecting it before. A USB extension ran all the way up and plugged into the scooter itself. But here is the LEDs for the scooter underneath that I put on, and then here is the positive and negative connection for the scooter, and here is our 12 volt to 5 volt converter. And we're basically just going to match everything up, positive to positive and positive to positive. You guys can either use heat shrink, electrical. I actually went and I got these Wago connectors, so you could just one positive at the one side, one in the other. So it should be relatively simple, and a simple thing to install it and put all back together. Okay, so I've got it all connected from the scooter into the Wago clip, and the Wago clip is connected to the positive and negative of the deck plate, and then I have the input-output converter also connected just straight to the positive and negative. It's a relatively straight, simple. I mean, red with red, black with black. You really can't mess it up. Then it looks like a pretty tight, procedure and like a bit of a rat's nest here. But if we kind of flip this over, kind of put the deck plate a little elsewhere, you could take our converter to start off here. And I'm just going to kind of take it and line it and find a spot. Might be, like I said, might be a tight fit, but I feel like we can get it to fit. You might have to fight with it for a little bit, finagling all those wires down there to try to fit this in there, but I'm telling you, I feel like we can get it in there. So I kind of just shoved my finger in there and pushed some of the wires down, but you can see I've gotten this converter right there It's all the way in. So now it comes out and it's still connected to the Wago clip, and we just have our USB here that we can connect right to this. So we'll connect that to that, and then we got to figure out a way to get this out. Now you can either choose to take off this whole piece and the whole assembly and come in from underneath, and you can wire it inside. Let me turn this. Inside of these holes in here, this is where your horn is, and behind this is where you can actually access the inside of your scooter. I don't feel like tearing that far apart, so for now I'm just going to run the wire right off and out to the side like this, push it all nice in there, and smash it with my deck plate a little bit, and I'll just throw a little bit of E6000 in there to waterproof it, just for the, because you know it's mine, but you guys can do what you want. So now we got all that in there, we're gonna go ahead and push this on down, and this kind of looks like I use this little lip here as a height limit, and as you can see this Wago clip is smaller than that, so this can just rest right here, all this can rest right here, and we're pretty much just putting it back together. Remember to slide it in from the back first, make sure your seal is all good, and I'm going to make sure my wire is relatively flush in there. You can kind of still see it even poking out right here. Just get it up in there. And like I said, I'm just going to smash it down and hope for the best. And probably throw some E6000 in the little crack that's right here just to get it filled. I'll probably end up changing this later to make it more official, but for now this is what I'm doing. Okay, so I could lie to you guys and say that was a simple procedure, but it wasn't. So I'm going to show you guys what I did. I'm going to lift this back up here. So I had to run this wire. I actually had to drill a small hole right in the corner here because I did not like how it was smashing like I said I was going to do. So then let me just flip this over so you guys can actually see here. There we go. So I actually had to melt out a small track for this wire so it could sit inside of this track here, kind of like that. It would sit inside there because it was smashing against right here. You can even see I was like tried to take this apart before and I broke it. That's why I said I don't like to take this apart. So I just melted this through just deep enough to the point that it's not affecting the other side of the board, and I'm just going to have it poke through the little corner right here. But like I said, you can go through down below if you want to take out all this controller and deal with the rat's nest. You can get through the seal and have it much better looking off than I am, but I just want to show you what I did. I kind of just took a little screwdriver and heated it up and just pressed it on there and created a track and stuff, and then I routed the wire underneath of the seal here, and then we're gonna put this all back together and button it all up here. Now that I fitted it all back down, you can see deck plate's on, and I just have this one wire here that's gonna pop out, and I'm just gonna wire it straight down and in, and I'm just gonna hook it up to my LEDs. They're actually right here, so I can just bing bang boom, plug this in just like that, and wrap it all up in the wire loom so it looks nice. Alright, so I obviously got it all plugged in here, just plugged into my LEDs, and this is how I'm going to wire it. I'm going to wire it up with this brake line. The brake line that's here, I'm just going to put it all next to it. So this will sit in the corner, this will run straight down. Come on, focus. Get straight down right there, and I'll hook it into this little hook, just like that. And then I'll just put this up like this and wrap this wire loom all the way around and down. But I'll do that later because I need to get this wire out of here. But let's see if it works. Alrighty, let's get the key. And we should just tap this and the deck lights and the underglow should just turn on. Just like that. Now the deck lights and the LED underglow are connected together. And just to show, we can even double tap the button up here to turn off the deck light, and it should turn off the LEDs on the bottom too. Perfect. Turn it back on. That's great. Off and back on. Alrighty guys, and then just put all your guys' screws back in, clean up your area because no one wants to deal with your mess, and see you guys later. Enjoy riding.